6 unbeaten. You're going along nicely. Things are looking good at the moment. Life must be good.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it as a group this week. I think what's really important is we obviously take the positives. I think it's not overlooking what the guys have achieved in the last 6-7 games. I think that's really important. That you take the confidence, you take the positive aspects, but so important. I think we don't get carried away. We focus on a really difficult game again tomorrow. So I think it's taking the positives, but staying really level, staying grounded, staying focused on week to week, controlling what we can control, which is making sure that we train hard, we prep right, and we make sure that we're good to go tomorrow.
Do you look at form in blocks, in groups of matches, in months, or do you leave it to the players to work out what would be good targets and things like that? How do you do it?
Yeah, we break it up short and long term, and again, I think that's something that's really important for us to keep in house in terms of what we're working towards for the guys to know. So we do work towards targets, and again, I think that's just some of that's measurable, but also performance targets for players. I think whether it's improving finishing, whether it's I think some of the tactical objectives we set the players are really important. So that's a constant thread throughout the work that ultimately we're trying to make the players better because that makes the team better. So we have team objectives, individual objectives, and we work hard on them, and we're constantly assessing how do we get better.
When teams are in good form, there doesn't tend to be too many injuries, and at the moment you haven't got too many, have you?
No, and the guys that have been out, David Kasuma's been back on the grass this week, which has been great to see. We obviously there's been a really good block of training that we've had, for the last 3 weeks. So it's taken a little bit of time, I think, for the guys to adapt physically to how we work now, because it is slightly different for them. So we had a few bits of soreness, but nothing major. So looking at the squad, we're Touchwood in a good place at the minute. People coming back at a really good time with a heavy congested fixture period coming up. So I think that allows us to keep it fresh. I think said it before, we need everybody in the squad. If we talk about optimal performance and people being at their maximum level, you can't do that over 45, 50 games. So I think it's really important that we have got the depth, we have got people returning. So it's great to be able to change things, adapt things. One, to keep people fresh, but also depending on the type of opposition we're playing against and what we need in a given game. So hopefully it stays like that. How quickly it can change in football. But yeah, at the minute, Touchwood, like I keep saying, the squad's in a good place.
For Kasumu, what are you earmarking? Maybe a couple of weeks, or the EFL Trophy game? I don't know. Is it because it may take a little bit of time to get up to speed?
Yeah, and I think it's really important. We don't rush him. He's a key player. I think it's important that we take a bit of time. And said it before, I think it's important. If it means taking an extra week or two, I'd prefer to do that. And he misses bits of 1 or 2 games than we rush him and he potentially misses 4 or 5 because we've gone too quickly with him. So he's like I say, he's joined in modified training this week. We'll build him up again next week. And then in a couple of weeks, hopefully we'll see him back in action, playing some minutes, definitely.
It's interesting seeing your style of play, just a slight tweak to perhaps last season. Are you happy with how the guys have kind of bought into it, maybe a little bit more quicker between the lines?
Yeah, and I keep saying about it, but credit to the group. The group are hungry for football, they're hungry for learning, they want to get better, they want to improve. So again, it makes our life a lot easier. Wasn't any major tweaks. I think you said it earlier, it wasn't a complete overhaul in styles, which obviously gives us a little bit of a head start. So some of it's just some tweaks in terms of the positions people are in, just tweaking it so that we cause opposition's problems, so we can be purposeful with the possession. So we can break lines, we can move up the pitch. So nothing major. I think that's important to highlight. But some of the tweaks that myself and the staff have made, I think you've started to see in games. So I think it's really important that we don't get carried away. We keep building on it. We keep learning. We keep progressing. We keep getting better. I think that whether you're in a good period or bad period, it's around getting better. It's around improving.
When I watched you on the touchline, Liam, I was impressed with how calm you stay and remain during the game, even if your side frustrate you or whatever. Is that something that you like to portray and give to your players, to kind of, this is who I am and this is how I do it?
Yeah, I think it's an emotional game, football. I think it's then understanding yourself, which is really important. And done a lot of work and spent a lot of time looking at it. I think what tends to happen quite often. I think the more emotional you become, the less you're able to focus on what the players need or what the game needs. So again, don't get me wrong. It's really difficult not to get emotionally involved. And every time I'm stood there, of course, I'm desperate for the guys to do well, desperate for us to win. So, of course, fully invested emotionally. But at the same point, I think it's really important then to be able to stay focused and controlled, so that the players, when they need help, when they need information, we can give it from a place that's going to have a real positive impact on their performance, rather than it just be an emotional response. So, yeah, like I say, not overly conscious. Yeah, there'll be moments, I'm sure, where I don't look as calm. I think that's also key as well. Being able to show different emotions to the players, I think, is also important.
So it could be quite a nice contrast tomorrow when you line up alongside Steve Evans. I think you probably knew that one was coming.
I have to, huge respect for Steve and his career he's had. Obviously, he's had a hugely respectable career. The clubs he's been at and the success he's had. So again, it comes down to us, to me, to controlling what we can. So how they play, how they act, how they behave, what they do is obviously entirely on them. But it's the same objective ultimately, for them to play well and win. So every manager, every coach, every team's going to have a different way of doing it. There's no potentially right or wrong. But for me, it's about us. It's about me, my staff, the players, and working in a way that hopefully we can get the performance and the result that we want.
I wouldn't have thought your paths were across with it, you and Steve.
They haven't, to be honest. No, they haven't.
Well, what do you make of their start to the season? They've probably sort of been, a bit inconsistent, maybe.
Yeah, I think you'll find that throughout the season, to be totally honest. I think the league's that difficult. I see it really difficult, for teams to go and put, extremely long runs together and, successive wins, etc. I think it's that difficult every week. Like I'm saying, like Portsmouth last week, going into Gillingham tomorrow, it's a hugely difficult game again. Different, but extremely difficult. So again, I think you'll find that with a lot of teams this year, where it'll be, results will fluctuate. They'll change week to week, as will performances. So they're going to be extremely difficult tomorrow. I'm not going to hide away from that. It's going to be another real challenging game. One that the players, staff, we have to make sure that we get down there later today and we prepare, we focus, and do everything in our powers to make sure that we're in the best place possible to go and perform.
Cool, nice one. Thanks, Liam.
No problem.
I'm sure you will have been wholly clued up on it, but the fact that Dons have only won once at Priestfield down the years makes it a pretty unhappy hunting ground. But looking at the team, there's not really many players in there who will have particularly bad memories of it. I mean, is that something that you just completely overlook and ignore when you go down there?
To be totally honest, yeah, I do. I think for me, it's actually looking at the present more than anything. I think in terms of where the group at, where's our recent format, where individuals within the team at. So for me, yeah, I don't. To be totally honest, I don't look too far back or too far forward. It's trying to live for the now a little bit, in terms of what do we need to do to make sure that we can get optimal performance and wins tomorrow.
You mentioned David Kasumu's recovery there. How's Mo Isa getting on as well?
Mo was back out running today, which was good to see. So he's progressing nicely. He's heading in the right direction. So hopefully, again, we'll look to introduce him to some of the football next week. So again, he'll be another big bonus coming back. And I think what we then have is hopefully, if we can keep everyone in the positions they're at, which what football's like, it can change quickly. As I said, we've then got real depth, real competition, real variation within the squad, where we can actually make tweaks, make changes, make adjustments to allow us to be unpredictable, to be adaptable, depending on the opposition, how they set up, what they do. So we've got the scope to be able to change and have an impact that way as well.
And I suppose when you see the way your sides play in, and from what Max Watts has said in the week, that he's excited to get out of the treatment room and onto the pitch. It must be a huge psychological boost for them as well, knowing that with every extra training session that they do, they get that little bit fitter and that little bit closer to a return, and it must spur them on to want to recover quicker, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think it's a big cultural thing. I think when I look at the guys, although they love football, it's on us to make sure that they do look forward to coming in every day. I think there's nothing worse than a group coming in and not kind of going through the motions or just seeing it as another training session. I want them to come in. I want them to be engaged. Want them to be hungry to work, hungry to learn. And I think hopefully the players will feed that back to you. But credit to the staff. I think they've done a really good job so far. Everybody in terms of creating that culture where there is discipline, there is intensity, but at the same point I think players thrive under that. I think they enjoy that. I think they want it and they perform best under it. So I think we've had a real solid 3 weeks. The guys look in a really good position. Physically, I think they've adapted to how we work extremely well, not just tactically but also physically. They've progressed nicely. So the minute games are really looking forward to the games. I think hopefully the group feel the same, that they can't wait to get out there and get playing.
Does that mean that you've got guys knocking on your door as well? I mean, we mentioned to Dean Lillington the consistency in the team at the moment, but there must be a lot of those fringe players who are knocking on your door saying, "Come on, boss, give me a go."
Yeah, and it's the most difficult part of the job. I think when you've got people that come in and show such a good attitude, and they do it properly every day. It can ultimately only obviously pick a starting 11. So either way, you're always going to disappoint people. I think what's really important then is to speak around why, educate them, or discuss why they're not in the team and what they need to do to get in the team. I think some of it's actually just circumstance. Obviously, he's still only been here 5 weeks, so I think with how well people have done, it's obviously been difficult to make changes. Spoke to the group, and I think I'm genuine when I say it. I've reinforced it weekly. I think in terms of the whole squad will be needed. It might not be at the moment, but in a month, 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, people will be needed. So it's then making sure that mentally and physically they're in the best place possible then to step in and actually then perform and deliver. And I think that's why, like I said, we need the whole squad. We need everybody, especially when you look at the period coming up. I had a look from the 25th of September. We have 10 games in 36 days, so it's a really heavy period where optimal performance, people can't sustain the level for 10 games in 36 days. So we will have to make changes, and it's then on the guys to step up and deliver, step up and show what they're about, and make a claim to hold a spot.